Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I know it's been an important morning to touch base with each other, but I think we're about ready to begin. So if folks want to take their seats, there's some extra seats up front here. I know this is not the usual setup for most folks. You're like, wait, my chair has moved. That's good. This is a good time to maybe switch seats a little bit. Good morning and welcome to the Washington Ethical Society. I'm Karen Schofield-Leka. My pronouns are per and per, short for person, and I'm the officiant today. WES is one community united across time and space, gathering for these Sunday platforms to affirm our values and commit to a better world. So I want to welcome those of you who are here in the hall, those who are watching now on Zoom, and those who are catching the recording later. If you're on Zoom, please check in the chat for a welcome and various tips from Joe Klein, today's Zoom chat usher. If you're here in the hall and would like an assistive listening device, please check with the sound team at the back. A special welcome to our visitors today. We'd love to get to know you and answer any questions you might have. To get on our mailing list, you can fill out the connection form at tiny.cc/wesconnects or send an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. And if you're here in person, we invite you to stop at the welcome table after platform or just chat up anyone that has a pre-printed name badge. We love talking about our community and curious what it is you're seeking out here among us. I'm going to now check the Zoom chat and see who is attending remotely this morning. So bear with me one moment. So let's see. Joe Klein says, good morning all. Laura DeShulo and Helmia Trixie say morning, but can't say it's good. Lots of other good mornings from Mark Mayer, from Eric, who says, I'm on my way, but glad for Zoom so I can listen while I travel. So excellent multitasking there, just be safe. The Kravitz family says, despite being in furlough status, not being community feels wrong. So the Kravitz family is tuning in from Disney World. Let's all go live in that magic kingdom. How about that? And let's see, a few more good mornings from Lynn and John Dakin, who is watching from upstate New York, Barb Nathanson, and Megan Giles, or Giles, my apologies on that. So it is indeed good to be together this morning and share this time. Our opening words this morning are from John Rodell, and he says, I can't take away your pain, but I can sit with you and be a witness to how the fractures in your heart become filled with the gold of your courage. Rest, my love, rest. Close your eyes. Let the gold in. I'll keep watch as you heal. And now Amy Foltz will kick off our topic for the morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Foltz. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to be leading us in this activity this morning. So you may have noticed you have some materials in front of you. And today we're going to be doing a community art project during platform. It is inspired by the Japanese art of Kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. Kintsugi literally translates to golden joinery or golden repair. This art form treats damage as an important part of the history of an object, and it celebrates the act of repair rather than disguising it. I think this is an apt metaphor for the work that we all have ahead of us right now. So you all have some paper in front of you and things to draw, color, and write with. And I encourage you to go ahead and grab those and begin to put anything that you like onto the papers in front of you. Maybe you want to draw some big, colorful spirals, write a few lines of poetry, share your hopes, your fears, or maybe you just want to scribble some rage onto the paper. That's all right. As our platform draws to a close today, we'll ask you to tear those pieces of paper up, and we're going to add the pieces to that board over there on the table near the end platform, and we'll paint in the cracks with gold. So please go ahead and begin and enjoy some opening music from the WES chorus. Thank you.
The chorus was originally not scheduled to sing today, but when I looked at the piano music, I had in mind, I thought, this isn't quite enough. So we're going to bring you a couple of songs that I think speak to the mood that some of us are in and the feelings that we have about the work going forward.
I gave you the wrong first note.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
There we go. 1, 2. Sorry, I gave us the
What a week we're having, right?
It's been that kind of week. There we go. Because we sing it up a step. Judy? No, it is.
No, that's a different note than you just gave us.
Fortunately, you're back to mouse.
Figured this out this morning.
We already done it once. 1, 2.
Each week, we read our statement of purpose as a reminder of our shared values. And if you're interested in taking a turn to read the statement of purpose, you can sign up at tiny.cc/readsop. Today's reader is Busola Obatayo, a greeter and member of the Community Relations Committee.
The Washington Ethical Society is a humanistic congregation that affirms the worth of every person. We strive through our relationships to elicit the best in the human spirit. With faith in human goodness, we appreciate each person's unique capacities. We joyfully celebrate together and support each other through life. We nurture a sense of reverence and responsibility for each other and the earth. We warmly invite you to join our community of children and adults as we work for a world where love and justice cross all borders.
As Busola lights our community candle, I invite everyone to join in our candle lighting words. May we kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the light of understanding, and the fire of commitment to build a brighter future for all.
I'm Casey Slack, WES's senior leader. My pronouns are they and them. I invite you into the centering time of our platform. You can keep doing your coloring if that works for you. Right now, what I'd like to invite you to do is just notice your breathing. You don't have to breathe any particular way. Just notice that you're doing it. Pay attention to the steady in and out. Pay attention to where your breath is shaky, where it's strong. Feel the air coming in to your body, in to your lungs. And imagine those molecules of oxygen moving through your body, giving life with breath to each tissue and organ. Just breathe. As you keep breathing, I invite you to check in with your body. Start at your toes, maybe give them a wiggle. Just pay attention to your toes. Move in to the rest of your feet, maybe rock them against the floor. Just notice feet, ankles. Keep breathing. Bring your attention up through your calves. Notice those muscles. Maybe try to relax them. Check in with your knees. Keep breathing. Pull your attention into your thighs and your hips. Maybe shift around a little bit. Check if you feel tense. Maybe wiggle your legs a little. See if you're holding anything there that you might be able to let go. And keep breathing. Let your attention move up into your belly, into your chest, into your shoulders, and notice where you're holding tension. If you can let it go, let it go. And if you can't, that's okay. Sometimes we can't let it all go right away. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. Bring your focus out into your arms, to your elbows, to your palms and your fingers. Maybe give your fingers a little wiggle, especially if you've been coloring. Keep breathing. Take your attention back in towards your shoulders and into your neck. Up into your head. Maybe shake your head out, roll it around a little bit. Just try to let a little bit of that tension in your neck go. Keep breathing and run that scan back down your body, connecting all of your parts together like that oxygen that flows through your blood, like those systems that connect you to yourself all the time. Take one last big, deep breath with me. In. Hold it. And when you let it out, make whatever sound you need to make right now. Let's do that again. Big, deep breath. Hold it. Any sound you need right now. Go. Encourage you to keep breathing. In general. Today, and as we continue our platform, we're going to continue this centering period with silence, and then there'll be music in just about a minute.
Thank you, Perry, for the beautiful music. Today's reading is from Hope in the Dark by Rebecca Solnit. They want you to feel powerless and to surrender and to let them trample everything, and you are not going to let them. You are not giving up, and neither am I. The fact that we cannot save everything does not mean we cannot save anything, and everything we can save is worth saving. You may need to grieve or scream or take time off, but you have a role no matter what. And right now, good friends and good principles are worth gathering in. Remember what you love. Remember what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. The pain you feel is because of what you love. The Wobblies used to say, don't mourn, organize, but you can do both at once, and you don't have to organize right away in this moment of furious mourning. You can be heartbroken or furious or both at once. You can scream in your car or on a cliff. You can also get up tomorrow and water the flower pots and call someone who's upset and check your equipment for going onward. A lot of us are going to come under direct attack, and a lot of us are going to resist by building solidarity and sanctuary. Gather up your resources, the metaphysical ones that are heart and soul and care, as well as the practical ones. People kept the faith in the dictatorships of South America in the 1970s and 1980s. In the East Bloc countries and the USSR, women are protesting right now in Iran, and people there are writing poetry. There is no alternative to persevering, and that does not require you to feel good. You can keep walking, whether it's sunny or raining. Take care of yourself, and remember that taking care of something else is an important part of taking care of yourself, because you are interwoven with the 10 trillion things in this single garment of destiny that has been stained and torn, but is still being woven and mended and washed. Our platform speakers today are from the Washington Ethical Society's Community Relations Committee, or CRC, which currently includes Emily Newman, Laura Steele, Amy Foltz, and Busola Obatayo. Emily?
Thank you, Karen. I'm Emily Newman, she, her. The Washington Ethical Society Community Relations Committee strives to create opportunities to build a community that is welcoming, caring, and respectful. We support all of us as individuals, parts of a congregation, and engaged participants in society beyond these walls in becoming more aware of ourselves, our impact, and our potential for growth. So it's fitting that CRC is leading a platform post-elections on the theme of repair, because it connects beautifully with the 4 sections of WES's Community Pact. Improving communications, which emphasizes the importance of direct, clear, respectful interactions, appreciating each person's perspective and need to be heard. Sustaining positive relationships, which focuses on respecting people's boundaries and accepting responsibility for our own feelings and actions, especially when we do harm, even if unintentionally. Resolving conflicts, which encourages giving people time to process ideas and situations, working together towards sustainable solutions. And 4, building healthy community, which inspires us to be a nurturing, inclusive, multicultural community that supports growth and equity. These are ongoing practices needed in our relationships at WES, with our families and friends, with people we know, and strangers we may never meet, because although we might not always be together, we are still connected. And I welcome up Laura Steele.
Good morning. I'm Laura Steele. My pronouns are she and hers. Earlier, Amy was talking about a Japanese tradition and custom of a way of repairing. Sorry, this has been one hell of a week. What I'd like to bring you is a different perspective on repair. It's called Tikkun Olam. I wonder if there's anybody here who is familiar with that. Wonderful. So I'm going to give you a very brief little history of Tikkun Olam. It is, in its tradition, meaning repair of the world. This is part of the origin story that I'm going to tell you about in the Jewish tradition of how the concept of Tikkun Olam came about, because it does not appear in the Hebrew Bible. It does appear in the Talmud around 200 Christian era. And this is the story. In the beginning, there was, all right, in the beginning, there was light. But where did this light come from? How did it come about? And what do we need to know about it? Let's find out. In the beginning, there was the light. At the beginning of time, God's presence filled the universe. When God decided to bring the world into being to make room for creation, he contracted himself by drawing in his breath. We were just drawing in our own breath, forming a dark mass. Then God said, "Let there be light." And 10 holy vessels came forth, each filled with primordial light. God sent forth the 10 vessels like a fleet of ships, each carrying its cargo of light. But the vessels, too fragile to contain such powerful divine light, broke open, scattering the holy sparks everywhere. Had these vessels arrived intact, the world would have been perfect. Instead, God created people to seek out and gather the hidden sparks wherever we can find them. Once this task is completed, the broken vessels will be restored and the world will be repaired. So that's one of the origin stories of Tikkun Olam. Today, the phrase Tikkun Olam is still understood to mean repairing the world, and it has become synonymous with various social action and social justice activities, political activism, or in the broadest sense, ethical behavior. However, the term has broader implications regarding understanding of our purpose in the world. In some cases, the term refers to the physical world. In others, to the societal order, and in still others, to the dream of a fully realized divine manifestation. Here are some examples of how people from Brandeis University in particular and elsewhere have interpreted and actualized Tikkun Olam. This is from Rabbi Michael Strassfeld of Brandeis. He begins, In the 1960s and 70s, we had the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement. The counterculture, which he was a part of, focused on challenging the establishment and changing American society. We felt elements of the Jewish tradition spoke directly to what we were trying to do. So, for example, the prophetic tradition was seen as legitimate source for calling for social justice. The prophets in the Hebrew Bible told the kings, "You're doing the wrong thing." They were calling for changes. This is also when Tikkun Olam began meaning something different for us in the modern era than it had in the past. It became the common term for Jews being involved in social justice. This is from Associate Professor of Environmental Studies, Prakash Kashwan. To fully understand the challenges involved in repairing the world, we must admit that our world is fundamentally broken in so many different ways. The world's broken environmental and climate systems do not exist in isolation from our political and economic systems. This is why I see this as a conjoint agenda. Repairing the ecological and environmental damage must be accompanied by repairing the political and economic systems. Otherwise, we will create short-term Band-Aid solutions that will not take us very far. And this from Assistant Professor of Philosophy, Umrao Sethi. Implicit in the notion of repairing the world is the assumption that there's something we have broken, something that needs fixing. Repair isn't just a matter of improving the world, but more specifically, rectifying wrongs that we feel responsible for. But to rectify wrongs, we first need a clear understanding of the wrongs themselves. She continues, I grew up in India in the 1980s. Colonialism is one of the wrongs that shapes my family and my country. While it's true that India was already independent by the time I was born, the country's history had nonetheless shaped much of my identity. Part of what's so devastating about colonialism is the erasure of the local culture, history, and language, really knowledge of your past and civilization. I grew up learning about the Holocaust before I knew anything about the Bengal famine of 1943, in which 3 million Indians died. My English vocabulary is many times larger than my Hindi vocabulary. I have decided to try and make space for people with backgrounds like mine in spaces traditionally conceived of as white, European, or male, and to insist that people like me have as much right to be in these spaces as anyone else. And from Bradley Cohen, from the organization Lev Olam in Israel. She speaks of her participation as an Israeli participant in Lev Olam, an organization that pairs Israeli young people with organizations in India that provide services, materials, food, clothing, a whole bunch of things to the most vulnerable people in India. She explains the recipients are not the only ones to gain from Lev Olam. The volunteers do as well. For me, Tikkun Olam means not only improving the world around us, but improving ourselves as well. It's about identifying an area of need and then rectifying the problem in the most effective and efficient way. Tikkun Olam requires humility and the ability to learn and grow. It means serving people in the way they need, not in the way you think is best. It's about creating self-sufficiency, not reliance, she explains. There are many examples of Tikkun Olam, and I'm confident that each of you, in your own way, have taken on this precious concept and can think of others whom you know who are doing likewise. For instance, here at WES, we have global connections, all of you. We have our immigration team, our greeters, our share the plate, our tech team. All of this and so much more are ways we are doing our part to repair. And to close, within the historical context of God repairing the world to prevent social chaos, preserving the social order that might sound politically conservative to some, tikkun olam, however, is being progressively applied to ensure that those who are the most vulnerable would be able to live full lives rather than be restrained by a system that favors the more powerful.
This is where you are sore, like you've been hit in that very spot over and over and over again for years, and now you can't think about anything but that place that you're sore. You might be angry. I am angry. I am angry in a way where when I stop listening to music or watching a movie or interacting with someone, I start picking fights with people in my head. Mostly my father, who I will not be having those fights with. You might be sad. You might be disappointed to learn yet again who many of your fellow Americans really are. You might be scared. I am also scared. I don't want to make this about me, but it is worth knowing that I am a transgender person in an interracial gay marriage. ah. And if you're here, you're a religious minority. And that is a scary place to be in the face of Christian nationalism, in the face of a heavily Christian fascism. The only answer that I have come up with that is at all satisfying is that we don't have to do it alone. Is that at the end of the day, my broken pieces fit with yours. And your broken pieces fit with mine and with each other. That where we are jagged, we can learn to make space. We can smooth each other out where that makes sense, but also we can hone those jagged spaces into things that pierce empire. I am so thankful right now for several things. One of them is being queer. Because the history of queer people is finding space and living despite everything. I am blessed to be in community with older queers who lived through the depths of the AIDS epidemic, who showed up for each other as they were rotting away, as they were wasting away, who stayed in community even though it would have been so easy to hide. At a moment on Tuesday night when I realized what was happening, I was driving home from the WES watch party, and the weight of what was going on hit me, and I thought, I should detransition. That would be safer. I will not. I will not. Because it is not, in fact, safer to hide. Me less alive, you less alive, will not make you any safer. I am thankful for the religious traditions that I am part of, for ethical culture, which teaches me that I can always choose to elicit the best in myself, and that doing that will help to bring out the best in other people. For Unitarian Universalism, which teaches me that everything is connected, that it's not just us, the humans, but it is the plants and the animals and the very dirt of the earth. I am thankful for the paganism that is my own, which is much more like religious naturalism, but quibbles. That tells me that I can go to the river and learn that you can keep going and change everything around you, but you can't expect not to be changed by it. That teaches me that the sun's going to keep coming up, that the plants will die and then come back, that even when a wildfire destroys a habitat, there are new things that show up in that space. I'm glad to be here with you today. I'm glad for those of you who have been here a long time and those who showed up for the first time today. I'm thankful for your choice to be together. Whatever else is true, whatever else will be true, you do not have to do any of it alone. We are stronger and more capable of impossible things when we link arms, when we reach out a hand. You will do none of this alone. Your part is to show up. Your part is to keep showing up. To get out of bed on Sunday morning when you don't want to, and at least get as far as your computer and Zoom. But get your body to this building, too. And come on a Wednesday night for Wednesdays at WES, because having a meal together is one of the most powerful acts of community that you can do without trying too hard. It's going to be really important that we have fun together, that we experience joy together. Don't let anybody tell you that having fun and experiencing joy is frivolous. It is more necessary right now than it maybe has ever been in our lifetimes for us. Keep singing. Start singing if you don't. You don't have to be good at it. You just got to do it. Dance, be in your body, be with each other. Grab a hand and hold on. One of my best friends in seminary, still one of my best friends, the beautiful and talented Reverend Elena Rose Vera, used to tell this story about getting lost in the woods one day. It's worth contextualizing this wisdom with that Elena is a Jewish and Filipina trans woman from the eastern side of Oregon, a complicated place to grow up, as anyone, much less her. She got lost in the woods in Oregon one day. She was pretty scared. And then she found a plum tree with ripe plums on it. She realized that she was hungry, and that being hungry was getting her even more lost. She grabbed a plum, took a minute to figure out where she was, and found her way back to where she needed to be. In difficult times, she would say to me, "Somewhere in the forest, there is a plum tree." Beloved, somewhere in the wilderness, there is a plum tree. There is nutrition, there is the opportunity to stop and figure out where we are. And luckily, you are not alone in that wilderness. You're not alone in any of it. We will find plum trees and we will be a plum tree, and sometimes some of us will be plum trees and some of us will be people in search of a plum tree, and you see how this metaphor continues. It's time to get rooted. It's time to stay connected. It's time to reach out and be together. Don't let your fear and your anger close you off from each other. Don't let your sadness constrict you. Take the opportunity to be broken open, to get bigger. When your heart breaks, my heart is broken. When your heart breaks, fill the cracks with gold. Don't pretend like it didn't break, but let it get bigger and more beautiful. I am angry and I am sad and I am scared. And I am also full of hope. Not easy, this will be fine hope, because, oh boy, it will not be fine. It is gonna be rough and bad. But if we hold on, we will get as many of us as possible through it. We cannot save everything, but we will save all that we can. And we will start right here, right now, together. I love you.
Our thanks to the Community Relations Committee and to KC for these reflections, and to all of you for your contributions to our community artwork. My guess is we'll get to take a peek at it before we depart today. In a few minutes, we'll have our community sharing time when you can write into the chat or share in person about what resonated for you in this platform. While we listen to today's musical response, you might prepare by reflecting on a personal experience or an activity at WES that the platform brings to mind. So please take a few moments to distill your thoughts to a single idea that you can share in 1 to 2 minutes. And now we'll have our music. Thank you, Perry. I like that little positive turn there at the end. This is the time when we add our own voices to the morning, sharing our reflections on the platform or what resonates with our personal experience. For our online participants, I invite you to share in the Zoom chat or in the comments if you are watching the recording later. If you're here in the hall and would like to share a brief comment, 1 to 2 minutes, you can come up now and form a line up the ramp. And when it's your turn at the mic, please begin with your name and pronouns. And when you've finished, please, if you're able, to use the stairs to return to your seat so that we can have a circuit. But if need be, please take the ramp back down. Want to come on up? Great. You need to tip it down. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay. I just kind of encourage everybody to practice the yes and concept, and just not that it's always reassuring, but just recognizing there's not one cause, there's not one villain, there's not one savior, there's not one solution, because I think that a lot of the conversations and reflections people are having, or trying to get down to like the thing that we should have done or now need to do, it's all the things, and not all at the same time, because that's a lot, but yes and.
I'm Peter Bishop, he is him. So I just wanted to mention that there is a concept among humanists that is very similar to the Jewish concept from Jewish mysticism that we've been dealing with today, and that is the concept of building our world rather than repairing it. After all, we know that our planet was formed with no free oxygen on it. So to say that it was perfect before is not correct. However, as we search for comfort, which we need comfort now, as we search for comfort, I found comfort from the words of Bob Woodward. Now, you may remember Bob Woodward. He began his career with the Watergate break-in while he was a reporter at the Washington Post. And as he started covering that story, they said, oh yes, the burglars, we've got them arrested, they're putting them in jail, whatnot. So at any rate, so he worked very, very hard to draw the connection from the Watergate burglars to the White House and J.R. Haldeman. And when he did, that's when things were repaired. So when we were talking, when he was being interviewed on television today, or recently, saying, what should we do now? I thought his words were very comforting. And that is, he said, now the fight is beginning, and we must all participate. And as I sit and think about what should I be doing right now, the one thing I realized is what I need to be doing right now is I need to be looking to figure out how I should participate in the fight. And so that doesn't sound like it's very active or productive, but if you can find what is the right way to participate in the fight that has begun, that is really powerful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katrina. She, hers. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Katrina. She, hers. One thing this week, after the initial shock of the results, came the aftershock of the post-mortem. And the feelings that even that brought to me, because of all the theories floating around, what did we do wrong? Were we too far left? Were we not left enough? Too far to the center? Were we, were we too woke? Were we using pronouns too much? And what was our tone? Just all this over and over. We're not appealing to people, but I think, but all of that, what it brings to me is like, you ever feel in that situation where it's like, where sometimes it's like, it's the problem is on us. It's like, what did we do wrong? And that's kind of what I wrote here. I wrote that how we're the ones who are supposed to be the better people, to be the bigger person, to be civility, for rule of law, respecting institutions. 8 years ago, we had 1 million of us at the Women's March, and we managed to not ransack the U.S. Capitol building. So, and that's what drives me nuts. It's what did we do wrong? We're the ones who aren't appealing to people. Well, in the meantime, the other side was talking about a dead golfer's private parts, for God's sake. So maybe the problem isn't us. The problem is them. The problem is I mean, the problem is there's institutions and there's entities that we got to take down. There's Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Fox News, the whole right-wing thing, and abroad, Benjamin Netanyahu, AIPAC, Vladimir Putin, Orban, all of them need to go, and that's what we need to fight. We have our flaws, but that wasn't what sank us. There's larger institutional things. So that's why I say, there's all this. What did we do wrong? And then on the other side, I say, fuck this.
Tough act to follow. Judy O, she, her. Casey's talks never fail to touch me deeply, and this is no exception, and thank you. And I debated whether to share this or not, but when, part of this, when people ask me, well, when I'm explaining what ethical culture is, they ask, well, do you guys believe in God? And my response is, it's just not pertinent. And so what I want to share is my personal irritation. Laura, thank you for bringing this, the story and the idea from Judaism, which is I say Judaism is my culture and ethical culture is my religion. But I felt really irritated that Godness came in and interfered with my peace. So that's just my thing. Anyway, thank you all.
I just want to repeat what I said last week, but in a new context. As long as you keep getting up, you have not lost.
Abby, she, her. I have found myself very comforted by the idea that the knowledge that whatever party of whatever length of time it's been in power in country after country after country across the world is getting defeated in elections. Because and some of those are conservative parties and some of them are liberal parties or progressive. The idea being that in a time of inflation, everybody's looking for somebody to blame and the current administration is who they blame. So in that, we're no different. And given that this time of inflation was essentially caused by the pandemic, I have come to the conclusion that my fellow Americans are not any worse than I thought them to be. And that this too is part of living through a pandemic and its aftermath. So that has been helpful to me.
I'm just going to jump ahead from the announcements, because I'm sure it's in there. Everyone remember what's happening next Saturday? You should come. Everyone should come. It's part of what keeps WES going. We're going to have a lot of amazing food. We're going to have a lot of fun. You should dress in silly hats. We need lots of silly hats for our fantasy and fun theme this year. So I just want to say thank you to Emily and to Ko and to Christine, to everybody on the auction committee that does all the work, that lets me come and work in the kitchen and run the kitchen. Thank you to them.
So I'm Bill, he and him, and one of the advantages of growing old is that you do have this perspective and you've seen the ups and downs. And I've been constantly reminded by events over the last 10 years that one of the reasons trans issues, they are critical. What I've learned is that, being gay is just old hat. And we're just, I remember a time when I fortunately wrote off the Naval Academy and teaching and even adopting, and all that has changed. So I've lived through that, and there's been ups and downs on that, of course. Two other things I want to say. One is that I wonder if Harris had won, whether I might have taken even a longer break, thinking, well, we've kept the wolf out. And when Trump succeeded, and I'm hearing he didn't really get more votes, it's just lots of people angry and apathetic just didn't vote. But it reminded me there's still lots of people who are hurt and not feeling motivated, and we can't take our relative comfort as the standard. There's still lots of people we need to pull along. And then the last thing I'll say, I work at Public Citizen and Member Services, and I got a call last week. Someone was charged $10, and I called her back. Well, anyway, it turns out she's 86 years old, and she's never been an activist. She has a son who's in the Air Force in his 60s, and she said that I have always been on the sidelines, and I don't know what I can do now, but I am now motivated. I cannot stay on the sidelines anymore. And I think there are lots of stories like that that are going to help us through the next few years. So thank you all for being here.
Comments from the chat. The Kravitz family says, well, the statement of purpose made me cry. Those words feel so much more meaningful after this week. And so that's Robin. And Laura DeShulo says, that was the sound making, I think referring to the meditation reflection time. That was the sound making I hadn't known I needed. And she's in transit and hoping to join into the art project a bit at the end. A bunch of heart emojis from a number of people. And Mark Mayer says, thanks to Casey and the CRC. I didn't know how much I needed to hear what you had to say. Barb Nathanson says, thank you for this very meaningful platform. It has been said that joy, play, dance, music, self-care, being in community are part of resistance. I chose not to give up this power to resist and not to give in. Kravitz family says, I agree. The best way to get us to the other side of the next 4 years is together. We owe it to the others in distress now to make WES as welcoming and well-known as possible. I can't imagine not having community right now. Joe Klein is reinforcing Emily's comments as Laura. And Lynn says, a relevant piano track, Seymour Reads the Constitution by Brad Meldau Trio, and the story behind the track, and there's a link, so we'll maybe figure out some way to share that collectively. But thank you, Lynn, for sharing that, and something immediately available to those folks who, like you, are online. Thank you all for who shared your thoughts and feelings this morning and your artwork. I think it looks like there's still some creating going on over there, so we'll check in a little bit about that. Just as we share our perspectives in this community, so too do we share our resources and gifts. Here at WES, we split all undesignated gifts in the Sunday collection between our operating budget and a fund dedicated to justice and compassion. And throughout the month of November, we'll be sharing with a group called Through Piscataway Eyes. The group promotes and protects the welfare, culture, and history of the members of the Piscataway Conoy tribe, whose ancestral homelands on the western bank of the Chesapeake extend from northern Virginia and southern Maryland to Frederick County, including this space that we now occupy. Through Piscataway Eyes works on tribal recovery from historical trauma caused by colonization by addressing training, tuition payments, and student loan debt, healthcare, housing and utilities, food, and rebuilding culture through reteaching traditional handcrafts. Let's all take a moment to prepare to respond to the invitation to generosity as we are able. To donate online through the Breeze system, go to tiny.cc/westgives or click on Give on our website, ethicalsociety.org. To donate in person today, just place cash or check in the basket at the back of the hall on your way out, or you can always send a check by mail. Thank you for your generosity, and we will now receive your gifts and the gift of music. And as we listen to the music, be thinking more and more about how to enrich our community and our presence in the world. I want to mention a few opportunities to engage in the life of our community upcoming. Next Sunday, the Officiants Group will speak on self-care practices to recover and recharge with curated music video clips from a variety of artists. Many hands make light work or dark coffee, and if you'd be willing to come to the platform a little early once a month to help make coffee, please sign up at tiny.cc/West Coffee sign up or jot down your name on the sheet at the coffee table. Please also plan to join us on November 24th when WES will host our sibling congregations, the Baltimore Ethical Society and the Northern Virginia Ethical Society, for our annual Stone Soup celebration. As we noted earlier, being well-nourished and experiencing joy and community are some of the best antidotes right now, so we've got a prime opportunity for you, November 24th. Baltimore actually has a tradition with bread, and Northern Virginia has a tradition with salads, and we're going to tie that in with our own tradition with soup and have an extra day of fun and a special meal for a delightful multi-generational platform time together. So look for links and news and notes for signing up for helping make it happen, and plan to come and contribute to the feast. Terry was going to come forward.
Hi, I'm Terry, he, him, and I'm a member of the Earth Ethics Action Team. And sometimes loss is a necessary part of restoration. And you may notice, those of you who are here, that there's more light coming in from this direction of the building. And that's because 2 trees have been removed and 2 other trees have been trimmed. The purpose of that is that we have solar cells on the roof which generate electricity, but trees were leaning over the roof and shading some of the solar cells and also shedding sap and pollen on the solar cells and reducing their efficiency. One of the trees, the Norway maple, is actually an invasive species, and so it doesn't have as much ecological benefit as native trees have. And the other tree that we removed was ruled by the DC arborist to be a hazard to the building. It may have fallen over or damaged the roof in a storm. So those 2 have been removed. And as a result, there should be more savings for the society. Actually, those panels have the potential to bring in over $15,000 a year of savings in electricity that we don't have to purchase, and also solar renewable energy credits that we can sell. So we'll have a little bit more of that in the future. Just one last thing. We have contacted Casey Trees and requested an appointment for them to come and assess what would be the best trees to plant out here in place of the ones that we've removed. And they do that. 3 of the trees that we have here have been given to us by Casey Trees. And so we're looking forward to having some more trees, but we're going to choose shorter ones that don't grow as tall as the roof.
I think we have one final announcement.
If these last 2 weeks have taught us anything, it is that while we may enjoy local victories, in order to conquer broader challenges, we need to come together and do more. And the way to do that is to buy a ticket for the auction. Yes. Join our feast, support our quest in this very space. November 16th, 2024, adventurers will travel, heroes, from this room to wide lands to bring back new knowledge and culture, find magical items, do good deeds. We will support this community by having a new person take over the coveted WES parking spot for a year. Yes. We will award the golden spoon to a baker among us who has gone far, traveled wide, and ventured out into the wilderness. You can do all of this by going to octria.events/WES Auction 2024, where you will find a catalog of treasures right there online, PDF version to follow shortly. You can sign up for childcare. You will be able to have all of your burning questions answered. And as if that were not enough, following platform today, brave and hardy souls will be right out there in the lobby to answer your questions and sign you up for the auction for your tickets today. And you don't even have to pay until after the event, when our bellies are full and our treasure is ready to travel home with us. Can I get a huzzah? Huzzah! Huzzah! Huzzah!
Huzzah. Well, that is it for announcements today. As always, you can find information and opportunities to connect in the weekly news and notes email and on the calendar page of WES's website, ethicalsociety.org. Thanks so much to the many people who helped to create this morning's time together. Our platform speakers from the CCRC and KC, and musicians Perry Bider and members of the WES Chorus, Senior Leader Casey Slack, and staff members Indara Miles, Robin Kravitz, and Maceo Thomas. And of course, our platform production volunteers, which include the tech team members, slide artists, Zoom chat usher, in-person greeters, the caffeinator crew, and our many Seek teachers. Again, if you are new to our community, please introduce yourself in person or via the connection form at tiny.cc/wesconnects or an email to wes@ethicalsociety.org. At the conclusion of platform, please join us for social hour either here or on Zoom at tiny.cc/wescoffeehour. And I invite you now to join in our closing music and closing words.
Our regularly scheduled Song of the Month will not be presented today so that we may bring you a special post-election sing-along. Most of you have heard this before. It's very simple. There are two parts to it. The main melody, if you haven't heard it before, you'll catch on immediately. There's a counter melody that comes in a little later that goes like this. Embrace your enemy. Nope, wrong key. Embrace your enemy. Welcome the stranger. Show love to your neighbor. We're in this till the end. So you can stay with the main melody or switch to the counter melody, whichever you like.
And now for our closing words. Let us go into the week ahead with compassion, understanding, and commitment, dedicated to repairing the fractures in our society with justice and equity. Thank you all for joining in today's platform, in person or remotely. We look forward to connecting with you again soon.